Gotta take Black Mage to 10 so I can get White Mage to 20. So I can get... I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna main. I think White Mage is a really bad choice compared to Thief, kind of. But then Thief forces me to do Ninja, and I don't like that. I want to just White Mage my way to the top and heal through all the damage or whatever. Wait, there's a... Are you allowed to? Love skills going up. Oh! Wow, that full force actually really hurt. You scared me. Where's this other guy? I want to give him... Paladin Bard. Oh, too low, huh? Knight's Mini. Why not Peon? Here's a decent challenge at level 4. It might be worth doing, maybe. But it also just seems risky. So I'm just going to not do it. Now I will go find the College of Winterhold, I guess, which means a journey to the Whiterun stables, and we'll have them open up that quest line so I can get my hands on magical gear and such. Like, Sam White Mage would be not a bad level to 75 class. It's got evasion and stuff like that. And it hurts real bad. Go do stuff like get a Sobero. Sam's pretty fun. That might be pretty fun. Okay, time to chop more tree. Chop more tree, bitch. Chop more tree. Let's dump stuff in the bag. Making lots of money in the mortal. Making lots of money in the mortal. Ben Shapiro's racist. Democrats grilled Trump officials over leaked group chat. Trump signs pardon, presidential memorandum, executive order on election integrity.
Oh man, I can't wait how the harbor looks in Mortal Online 2. It will be so cool, I guess.
Crazy, bang, cool, sick, badass. Oof, it looks quite horrible in darkness. A one of a kind. Enjoy. Okay? Enjoy it.
Hello everyone and welcome to the website channel. Today with a very special
Looks good
topic.
to me.
I mean, always special. The Tindrum Harbor. Because in Mortal Online 2, the Tindrum Harbor is still missing, but with the ships patch someday and with maybe some other continents and maybe more use case for a harbor, Tindrum will also get a harbor. Because a few people have reached out to me, what happened to the Tindrum Harbor?
So this makes Mortal far more interesting to me because you can just go out to the fucking ocean and fish all day and nobody bothers you ever and you just come back with your fishing bounty and you park in Tindrum and you just sell it or whatever, and that's what I'm interested in having like an aquatic life out there. The boat, I don't know how deep they intend to do the boat.
Why don't we have a harbor in Mortal Online 2? Because in Mortal Online 1, just for example, we had a harbor here with Gabor nodes. You could just mine a little bit of Gabor inside the city. The most interesting thing was that there was a sunken city inside Tindrum, in the Tindrum harbor, and in this sunken city was also a Kalks node and bandits. And it added a little bit of more flair to Tindrum because it's the main capital city. So it's perfect for new players to get a grip on bandits or something in a nearby safe-closed area. But what I have really missed in Mortal Online 2 are the mage towers where the mage vendors were for a few books and stuff. And it just looked cool. And I really hope that Star Wars can do such a good Tindrum Harbor in the Unreal Engine 5, in the hardcore Mortal Online 2 universe that is looking so astonishingly good that people will getting their jaws dropped. Because if you think back in the year 2009 and you would see that, you would see...
look how crappy it looks back then.
Okay, these are good graphics. The thing is, it's getting old. It's got really old now. But I mean, if I imagine that in Unreal Engine 4 with high-end textures, high-end stuff, holy shit, this will look good. But for now, it's not looking good. The good thing is you can't even swim in there. I mean, I tried it. There's an invisible wall. You can't get any near the Tindrum Harbor anymore. But at least they have enough space to make a great Tindrum Harbor. And I think that ships are an awesome thing. When I imagine that, I think we are far away from that. But I got a few messages about especially the Tindrum Harbor. So yeah, there's sadly no more information on the Tindrum Harbor or if Star Wars is working on the Tindrum Harbor because they have other stuff to do with the Reckoning patch and stuff. But I can only tell you what was in the old Tindrum Harbor. There were also a painting smuggler who sold paintings to a very high price. There was also the rare collector where you could exchange rare items to rare items, and there was also bags that were so big that the vendors didn't sell them, but only the rare collector was selling them and stuff like that. And also some other small gimmicks, like he was selling a key to a chest between Tindrum and Beduli and stuff. Also a little bit more NPCs and also a grinder, a crusher, and a grizzly, and also a separate bank of Tindrum. It was not the Tindrum bank, it was a separate bank. It was the Harbor Bank of Tindrum. But please participate in the voting. Do you want to see the Harbor of Tindrum in Mortal Online 2? Yes or no? Or maybe you just like harbors, or maybe you love them.
Approaching
or maybe
Stargate.
you just hate them. But the beauty of it is Star World will continue on working on the game.
Oh, I may not have
maybe
enough
when
money.
They have the
Oops.
time, they will maybe improve their hardware or not. It also depends on what the community wants, of course. And if you have other suggestions or maybe other interesting things, then please comment below. And if you enjoyed this little interesting video, then please leave a like and subscribe. Would be really awesome, by the way. And special thanks to all the supporters, of course. Mr. Minerva, the entire Rodus, Paternax, Globulok, and all the others, of course. And never forget to make the Tindrum Harbor hard. Happy party. See you all next time. Goodbye.
Warping to station. Warp drive
Why am I
active.
having trouble seeing this ring? I just don't see it. There.
Massive beneath the Great Pyramid of Giza. Here's what they found.
Guys,
Nope. What's crashing out harder, Doge or Tesla? These
Approaching
morons have been
station.
doing this on other operations. Is this the MSNBC fucking title? These morons have been doing this on other operations.
Docking permission requested. Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted. Autopilot disabled. Waypoint reached.
How the, oh, it's Rebecca Black. Oh my god. Anyways, so yeah, cool. Start conversation. Accept. Go to heck, or so whatever they want me to do. God, this just keeps going on. Yeah. How's this going? I broke an axe. I broke a nail. The Rise and Fall of Terrorgram from Frontline PBS. Let's do that. Thank you so much for the excellent content for my stream. I'd like to sub to your channel. Thank you, PBS. My taxes pay for this video, and I love that.
Breaking news after reports of a shooting. Multiple people ruthlessly gunned down. Police have also discovered a lengthy manifesto.
In collaboration with ProPublica, reporters A.C. Thompson and James Bandler investigate the global rise of a dangerous movement.
This is a very militant, aggressive, dangerous community.
The story that we unraveled was frankly very disturbing.
What's interesting about this collective is how transnational it is.
How they radicalized online.
He was a very active user of all these channels.
And promoted violence.
Here was someone that they successfully indoctrinated and encouraged to kill, and he'd gone out and done it.
Now on Frontline, the rise and fall of Terrorgram.
You have to ask a question. What have we reaped as a result of this? What new whirlwind are we throwing ourselves into?
This program contains graphic content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Oh no, I'll have Mexican pizza is what I'll have. Oh yeah, that'll be amazing. Mexican pizza. Fuck yeah. And I'll use chips. I'll use chips in the pizza. Because I'm genius.
In Bratislava, Slovakia. I was here to investigate a deadly attack that had terrorized this Central European city. It happened on the evening of October 12th, 2022. That night, on Zamoska Street, three friends sat talking outside a gay bar they frequented.
Rok mi to bolo pre mňa taký také, že slobod. Veľa ľudí tam malo podľa mňa nejakú tú druhú rodinu. Aspoň tí, ktorí neboli doma vyautovaní.
Radka Traxiarova was catching up with her friends.
rok mi to bolo pre mňa také, že slobod. Veľa ľudí tam malo podľa mňa nejakú tú druhú rodinu, aspoň tí, ktorí neboli doma vyautovaní.
Radka Traksiarova was catching up with her friends, Matush and Uri.
Vonku, keď bolo teplo, tak boli 3 lavičky, kde sa dalo sedieť, ale žiadny stôl. Juraj bol od chrbta, alebo sedel. Matúš si zapálil, a potom mu poviem, že si ešte niečo dám. A on si tak oprel, že hlavu o mňa.
Radka saw another person standing in the shadows, not far from the bar.
A vtedy niekedy prišiel, strieľal a tam stál. Naše prvé myšlienky boli, že tam stál, lebo je asi tiež queer a bojí sa prísť ďalej a podobne. My sme sa mu aj pozdravili.
His name was Uri Krajcik. He was 19 years old.
He was an intelligent student. He was very good in English. He was usually alone. It was not suspicious to anybody at that time.
But earlier that day, Krajcik had posted a hate-filled manifesto online, full of false narratives and racist conspiracy theories. He wrote that white people were facing a critical situation and that Jews and gay people should be eliminated.
White people are facing a critical situation. Why do white people act and talk like this? Why are white people like this?
A on strieľal z tejto strany. Čiže tam nie je šanca. A ja
It's a critical situation. It's called being privileged.
Počula, že ráchot, lebo tých 9 rán, ktoré boli, a jediné, čo viem, bolo iba, že padol Juraj pred nás a Matúš nás hodil celou váhou na zem.
He just opened up on them? That fucking asshole. What the fuck?
Tak tam nebol tam priestor.
Krajcik fired twice more into the bodies on the ground. Then he fled into the night.
19-ročný mladík zastrelil 2 ľudí, údajne nenávidel homosexuálov.
Polícia po útočníkovi stále pátra.
Bol odhodlaný vykonať takýto čin, ktorý má znaky zásady teroristického trestného činu. We did not know what the motive was. We knew it was a murder in cold blood. But of course we didn't have the shooter who was at large moving around the largest center of Bratislava.
Polícia potvrdila, že nemal žiadneho komplicanta.
Slovak officials believed no one else was involved in the shooting, that Krajcik was a so-called lone wolf. But his manifesto contained clues that in fact he'd been radicalized by a global community of online extremists.
Online extremists.
21st century terror.
You mean people sitting in front of their computer talking shit on Reddit?
Because it's a pure example of how
online
extremists can encourage and inspire other people to go out and commit acts of terrorism. It explains and shows how terrorism works today. For the past year, I've been reporting on the dark corners of the internet and social media that have given
dark
rise to a
corners of
series
the internet.
deadly
You mean
far-right
nerds
terror
sitting on their
attacks.
laptops?
The ecosystem is designed such that anyone can pop off and create a very high-impact, damaging attack on society at the drop of a hat.
With a team of reporters from Frontline and ProPublica, my colleague James Bandler and I have been investigating the anonymous and loosely moderated platforms where extremists have been able to share propaganda and terrorist instructional material.
It was allowing for really kind of unfiltered
Don't final sting me.
unregulated
Oh god,
hate
you
and
scared me.
extremism to kind of run
I'm
around.
gonna stay away
And
from
the
the bees.
transnational terrorist network behind the Bratislava attack, known as the
Wait, that
Terror
goblin
Bomb
could
Collective.
kill me.
These people on the messaging and social media app Telegram were trying to stir other people to commit acts of incredible violence and to spark a race war, which they hoped would lead to a white ethno-state rising from the ashes.
Sure, I'm sure that's what'll happen, you fucking morons. We will replace you. We will replace you. We will replace you. You suck. I will replace you. I will
I've been
replace you.
documenting hate groups in America for Frontline and ProPublica for almost a decade.
Ugh.
Back in August 2017, I was in Charlottesville, Virginia, when white supremacists made their biggest public show of force in years.
It was incredibly chaotic and disturbing.
The rally descended into racist, anti-Semitic violence. A young counter-protester was murdered. Far-right extremists were arrested, criminally prosecuted, and sued in civil courts.
We are here today to announce the arrest of 4 members of the militant white supremacist group.
For the movement, Charlottesville was pivotal.
One of the things that happened is the movement kind of splintered. And so there was a faction of the movement that said, we're going underground. We're not going to meet in person anymore. We're going to engage in terrorism, and we're going to communicate with each other through these online platforms. We can win a secret, clandestine battle, and we can try to bring down the government.
More like go to prison.
In online chats I was monitoring at the time, extremists were increasingly promoting.
Yeah, totally. You go fight City Hall. You see how well that goes. You go ahead.
Militant accelerationism is a terroristic ideology that is rooted in notions of white supremacy that looks to collapse the societal order and encourage race riots across Western countries in particular.
Milo Comerford is an extremism expert.
This is really about encouraging violence, polarization, and racial animus that can lead to a war and a conflict that can be used as the basis for forming a white ethno-state.
In 2019, this growing accelerationist movement would be galvanized by a horrific terrorist attack on the other side of the world. What happened in Christchurch, New Zealand would provide a grim template. Leaderless, decentralized terrorism performed for an online audience. Friday prayers, the Al Noor Mosque in Christchurch, a hub for practicing Muslims on New Zealand's South Island.
March 15, it was beautiful sunny day. I go Al Noor Mosque for my worshiping. And there is my regular mosque to go every Friday. Imam started the speech when I hear the big bang sound. And then I see someone with the helmets and vest. He's prepared the weapon. And I see myself in front of, that weapon. And then I see the smokes come out. And then I feel the bullets in my mouth. He started walking towards us. And serial shooting, pop, 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 pop. It sounds like that. I see like he's enjoying, it's like a video game. He's just focused what he's doing. While I seeing the bullets entering my legs, I said, oh, I think this is how you're feeling when you get shot. Bang, bang, just. It seems like never stop. Oh, suddenly he left. The mosque is full of smoke. It went very quiet. I heard somebody by the door saying, Imam, I know you are there. Come out. The police is here. He pulled my hands. I wish that he had covered my eyes. Because I saw here on that corner, 3 meters long this side and high, people on top of each other and bleeding. And on that corner, by that door, I saw people over there. That is the real massacre I have seen in my life now.
We're interrupting normal programming with some breaking news after reports of a shooting in central Christchurch.
"44 people were killed in the attack at the Al Noor Mosque. Dozens were injured. At a second mosque, 7 more were shot dead.
Police arrested 28-year-old Australian Brenton Tarrant.
The gunman eventually pleaded guilty to the murder of 51 people and the attempted murder of another 40. He was given multiple life sentences. In the aftermath of the attacks, a government inquiry, known as the Royal Commission, concluded that he was a lone actor.
Wow.
But recently published research from the University of Auckland found that Brenton Tarrant had been part of a global community of online extremists for many years.
We've got 5 years of him speaking
Oh,
candidly
good. So that's what we can expect. It's just, if they've been Redditing for 10 years, they go nuts.
Completely unguardedly.
And they kill people or whatever. That's what we can expect. Right?
Researchers Chris Wilson and Mikhail Jivolsky uncovered more than 400 posts they linked to Tarrant, including threats against Muslims, all scraped from the online platform 4chan.
4chan, sorry, I would say Reddit, but I mean 4chan.
A simple image-based bulletin board where anyone can post comments and share images. There's a whole bunch of different boards that have got different types of themes. The most famous far-right one is the politically incorrect board, which we found Tarrant on.
Politically Incorrect was known as the Poll Board for short, a home for people with extremist opinions. As with all 4chan boards, every post is anonymous.
This isn't just showing how thorough we've been with our multi-factor authentication, right?
They linked the post to Tarrant by scouring his known online history, cross-referencing thousands of posts, a digital trail of old usernames, spelling quirks, and odd word usages.
This email address that he used in 2013 is the same address that he used right before his attack.
The researchers compared these posts to an account of Tarrant's travels compiled by the Royal Commission, which uncovered that he had traveled to more than 50 countries in the 5 years before the attack.
So they're like super active too. They're like super active, like spreading their hate and like to cons or whatever. They're like crazy racist, like active, like Black Knights.
I guess promote nationalism. When he's in these different countries, we can see that the IP address comes up with those flags.
And so the flags and the geography line up with the dates that the Royal Commission said he was in these places.
That's right. So all of the posts that we're showing, they correspond to the countries that he was visiting at the time.
As he traveled, Tarrant stayed in touch with the Pole community on 4chan, which was increasingly becoming an echo chamber of hate.
The history of 4chan is an interesting one in that
I should go buy in-rings.
And very popular within kind of anime culture.
Well, I'll do it when I
Pete
ding
Sini is a
7.
sociologist who studies violent extremists and how they distribute propaganda online.
It's very rudimentary in many respects. They're not glossy. They don't look very digitally sophisticated. They look kind of old school in a way, almost like the old bulletin boards from the early 80s.
Yep.
4chan was started in 2003 by 15-year-old entrepreneur Chris Poole as a space to communicate with his friends. Unexpectedly, it became a phenomenon.
There are very few places now where you can go and not have
just
it to be completely anonymous.
freely exchange.
Say whatever you'd like.
4chan became known as a meme factory. But with anonymity and little moderation, the content grew increasingly edgy. Despite some efforts to clean up the site, by the time Chris Poole sold 4chan in 2015, it had become a popular destination for racists and extremists.
One of the things that started to happen on 4chan is a kind of accumulation of neo-Nazi, white supremacist, misogynistic, extreme, hateful tenets and trends.
These people are going in, it's humor, there are memes, they're getting all these ideas of anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, ideas of white genocide, and so on, all in just little snippets that are really, really easy to take in, and maybe without even noticing that they are developing these ideas that are racist and potentially violent.
Terrence' path over the years appears to have followed that process of radicalization. The researchers found posts from 2015 after Dylan Roof killed 9 black members of a church in Charleston.
These are posts from Tarrant dated June 2015, and they're in response to somebody who posted Dylan Roof's manifesto. They're in the wrong country perpetuating the destruction of the white race.
What?
For Tarrant, it was a turning point. The big moments on the 4chan poll board are the moments where there's a massive attack. 4chan's a place where when people go out and commit acts of white supremacist terrorism, they are celebrated and lauded and hailed as heroes. So you should not be surprised if that kind of adulation doesn't spawn more people seeking that fame. The current owner of 4chan, Hiroyuki Nishimura, did not respond to interview requests. The site's administrators have said that any threat of violence or terrorist acts violates their rules, and that they've banned users who've done so. In August 2017, Brenton Tarrant moved to Dunedin, a city on the coast of New Zealand's South Island. It was here that he plotted his accelerationist attack, leaving clues of his intent on 4chan.
He let everybody know that he was going to commit an attack, at least twice. In 2 threads, in March and August 2018, he speaks angrily about the spread of people of colour and the supposed spread of mosques in New Zealand.
Somebody posts matches to indicate, hey, this would be a good idea to burn these mosques down, and Tarrant comes in and says soon.
The truth of the matter is, he was carrying out the aspirations of the online community. So he wasn't a lone actor. He was a guy who was reflecting the values of his community. As Tarrant prepared, he wrote a 74-page manifesto full of falsehoods and racist ideology. He called it the Great Replacement, after a conspiracy theory about a supposed plot to wipe out the white race.
Oh, come on, you
and
fucking
then came
idiots.
March 15th.
Goddamn worthless pieces of shit. Embarrassing me and my own fucking race. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Fucking loser pieces of shit. Ruining my country.
Under his name online is a racist manifesto.
So then they go out and they kill? Like, you think that solves something, you fucking
similar to
moron?
4chan, called 8chan. In a disturbing innovation, he also live-streamed the attacks on Facebook, filmed like a first-person shooter game.
He used every available means of dissemination of his ideas that he could. Mainstream social media accounts. He used this new technology, the GoPro camera, to make a live stream, which would mean that the propaganda was almost impossible to stop and would continue for years to come.
The Christchurch attack convulsed New Zealand. In the aftermath, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern issued an edict.
He may have sought notoriety, but we in New Zealand will give him nothing, not even his name.
His manifesto was banned, the attack video made illegal to possess. They were trying to stop Tarrant's toxic propaganda and erase his name. But online, Tarrant was becoming an icon. His racist propaganda was spreading. The manifesto was posted, quoted, and shared worldwide. Facebook had quickly taken down the live stream, but new links were put up on 4chan and 8chan.
It was one of the most widely shared pieces of content of that nature ever in the history of the internet.
Matt Kreiner is an expert on violent extremism and has studied how Christchurch became a model for future attacks.
He constructed a very clear formula for others to follow in his footsteps, because that's ultimately what he wanted. He wanted others to see what he was doing as a call to action.
By the time of the Christchurch attacks, many far-right extremists had migrated from 4chan to 8chan.
We wanted to see who created this platform with almost no content moderation, this platform that had become sort of a free-for-all for some of the ugliest speech. And we reached out to Frederick Brennan and went and saw him.
Frederick Brennan had started 8chan in 2013.
Oh my God, that's who started it?
Condition affecting his bone structure.
It's a very rare disease, so there's not much funding in
What's the disease called?
Osteogenesis imperfecta.
Oh, I'm
Early
sorry,
on, Brennan
buddy.
developed a passion for computers and coding and discovered chat sites, including 4chan.
I became really interested in how 4chan was set up, like, technically. It was fun for me because I, especially as a kid, was very different from everyone else.
As a teenager on 4chan, Brennan used the platform's signature anonymity to make outrageous and offensive statements.
I remember this era. I hated it.
I became like this very fringe.
It surprises me
advocate for
not at
equality.
all that you know that this is how this got started. It's always some crazy fucker on the internet. Look at this.
Movement of eugenics.
To kill people like
Yes, to kill
yourself.
people like myself, yes.
What?
It made me feel really smart.
You're
to be like
stupid.
15, 16, right? And to be saying things that these adults don't know how to even conceive of somebody who is disabled, telling them people like me shouldn't exist.
Have you changed your views about eugenics and about...
Yes, of course. Yeah, no, I'm definitely not a believer in eugenics anymore, no.
Are you sure? I think if you've ever believed in it, I think you can't come back from it.
In 2013, inspired by 4chan, Brennan created his own site.
I thought that it would be kind of like the next stage of 4chan's evolution.
Brennan wanted 8chan to have even less content moderation than 4chan.
See, on 4chan, the website's administrators were still in charge of all the boards. So even the poll, like politics board on 4chan, was not just like a Nazi haven. But on 8chan, since it was all user created, we didn't have a poll board until like a user who wanted one created it. Well, that guy, he named his user account Heil. So what do you think his vote?
As in Heil Hitler.
Yes, and you know, he very clearly made it a Nazi struggle. You know,
You're basically asking people who
asking users,
the
yes,
site to police it.
yes, yes.
How does that work?
Not very well.
Within 2 years, amid a wave of new users and mounting costs, he sold 8chan, but he continued working with the new owners until a falling out led him to cut ties altogether.
I don't know what the future holds. Then in 2019,
I hope you get better.
I
hope you get
was
better.
just
I hope you get
starting to
better.
over
I hope
it,
you get
and
better.
I was thinking at that time, okay,
What the fuck's
these
wrong
guys
with
are
you?
nothing,
But
right?
I hope
Like,
you get
8chan
better.
is not
I
that
hope you
big
get
of a
better.
site.
Please get
4chan
better.
is still the
We
main
need you
one.
guys to get
It's just
better.
slowly-
This is how we talk about you. This is how the media talks about you. This is how the people at school talked about you. We need you to get better. Like, nobody wants this. Nobody wants this kind of dissidence. Nobody wants you to make nasty comments about other people's race or whatever. Nobody wants this kind of discord. Like, we're with the human race, as much as you might think it's like a cold, hard world of shitty people or whatever. I believe in actually sometimes like really the kindness of the human race. These people seem to be really freaked out.
Die and sink into irrelevance. That's what
I hate
very
humans, but
foolish.
I've always believed in the sheer kindness
and
of
then the shooters
strangers.
start using it.
Stranger humans.
There's been a shooting at a synagogue.
Shooters started using it.
Shooter entered with an AR-style rifle and opened fire.
6 shots, a pause.
Oh, good! You started a message board for school shooters, you worthless piece of right-wing, cocksucking, fucking racist, Hitler, Nazi, March of the Bastards, fucking fascist piece of shit. Good job. I'm sure the school shooters all use that as some kind of, like, you know, as some kind of preparation tool. Thanks. I really need all the school shooters talking to each other. Thanks. You know.
Believes the weapon jammed at that point.
Just 6 weeks after Brenton Tarrant had posted his manifesto and live stream on 8chan, the first copycat attack near San Diego, California.
One woman was
God.
killed, 3 other people wounded.
The gunman killed
Why are you
Lori
guys
Gilbert
like
Kay,
this?
a
The
60-year-old
right
member of
wing.
the synagogue,
Oh my God.
and injured 3 others.
I say it every day on my motherfucking stream. When the left wing gets out of hand, you get, like, you know, AIDS and like the Flower Power Revolution, cocaine and heroin and stuff. When the right wing gets out of hand, you get mass shootings and genocide.
Including an 8-year-old.
The suspected gunman
Shoes.
is identified as 19-year-old John.
Pretty hard pick there. Do you want the mass shooter genocide side or the drugged out hippie side? I think I'll take the drugged out hippie side. You know, with their love-ins and their, you know, give peace a chance and all this stuff. I think I'll take the transcendentalists and the poets and all this. You know, and the poet warriors. I don't believe in, well, the right wing.
San Diego. He's a college student with no criminal record. Worshippers say he stormed.
There was an enormous amount of police activity. We parked our car, and I can remember talking to a police officer. They had mentioned another house, and I felt this relief. Oh, thank goodness it's not us.
It was.
But that wasn't the case.
It was.
It was us. It was my son.
Authorities began investigating the shooter's online life.
Police are reviewing an open letter he posted online slamming President Trump, the Jewish faith, and conservatives.
The 19-year-old gunman bragged in his manifesto about starting a mosque fire in Escondido last month.
A mosque fire?
This is the mosque, and he spray painted the name of this New Zealand shooter, and POL is from the 8chan. It's politically incorrect.
San Diego District Attorney Summer Stephan prosecuted.
It's like he left a
Ernest
calling
for the attack.
sign for their school shooter club. Fucking right wing. This is the right wing. If you don't know it, then we probably lost our country. This is what the right wing is.
To a room where there were a lot of kids and began shooting. So he was prepared to do maximum damage.
The suspect accused of shooting 4 people, killing one of them.
Including an arson fire at a mosque in Escondido.
And numerous hate crime allegations.
Ernest eventually pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole.
Good.
This is the first time his father has spoken publicly about his son.
He loved his family. He had friends.
Look at that shit-eating grin on his fucking mass killer face. You're looking like Joker, you fucking freak. Fucking freak. Freaking nature.
Your family are not anti-Semites, you're not racist haters, is that...
No, he just got sick. He got sick from the 4chan virus.
From us.
Investigators said the shooter was radicalized over the course of about a year on 8chan and other sites.
The entire process of him becoming radicalized appeared to have happened online only, taking someone who was a 4.4 student all the way to a cold-hearted killer.
Ernest's father says his son started out on mainstream platforms like YouTube. Early on, he was a fan of conservative political commentator Ben Shapiro, until suddenly he turned against him.
John T. said that, well, that's a Jew. This guy is hated. He's part of the whole conspiracy, and that I don't listen to him anymore. And for me, that was such an abrupt change. It is something that kind of caught me off guard.
And then he moves to 4chan and 8chan.
Yes, John T, he did talk to me a little bit about 4chan. I had heard about it, and then I had also heard about 8chan. I knew that that was something even darker. But I did not quite understand what it was all about.
In his manifesto, which was posted on 8chan, he wrote that Tarrant was a catalyst for him.
Did he talk to you about Tarrant?
He had mentioned Tarrant and the heinous crime that Tarrant had committed against the mosque. He wanted to be very clear that he supported what Tarrant had done in the Christchurch shooting. He gave no hint that this is something that he would like to do as well.
So he was playing you, in your mind.
I don't, at that point, I don't know. I don't know how this grows. It could be that he was playing me. In fact, I explicitly asked him at one point about violence, and he said that he would never resort to violence.
What prompted you to ask him about the possibility that he would engage in violence?
Because so much violence was associated with the people that he seemed to be honoring.
This is when he was arrested. It seemed like he was really aspiring to that mass killer. In less than a month had downloaded and searched the name of the New Zealand shooter 104 times.
Oh my God.
Yes, he was
he got obsessed with it.
He would do the same as the New Zealand shooter and inspire a horrible generation of people that will also kill.
He isn't gonna kill me, is he?
3 months later,
fuck it, I'm just gonna
another
X-potion.
attack linked to 8chan.
I'm not dying to this worm.
This time in El Paso.
God damn
At
it.
least 20 people dead, more than 24 injured, the wounded ranging in age from 2 years old to 82 years old.
Moments before the mass murder in El Paso, the suspect detailed his plans and ideology
These are too high.
in a post on the internet forum 8chan.
Although 8chan quickly removed the shooter's manifesto, as
I
it
got
had
its
done
club
after
skill
San
though,
Diego,
which is good.
it was too late. It had been copied and would be widely reposted.
Oh
Christchurch had
my
happened, and that was
God.
the first large one. Then in San Diego. Then finally in El Paso.
Tonight, the man who created 8chan wants it shut down.
8chan's founder, Frederick Brannon, decided enough was enough.
It's like these people want to play with reality like it's a joke or a game. It's a reoccurring theme, like it's a fucking video game. Like they treat you like like your life is a fucking video game or something. It's weird.
He shut down. 8chan was dropped by the companies that kept it up and running on the internet, and soon went dark. But it would be a short-lived victory.
You know, these white supremacist groups adapt, right? It's like you take away their toy and they're not going to just sit around and do nothing. You know what I mean? They're going to try to find a new platform.
That new platform would turn out to be Telegram, a messaging and social media app started in 2013 by Russian tech entrepreneur Pavel Durov and his brother Nikolai.
One of their chief marketing pitches was that this would be a place free of censorship, that it would be a place where free speech was paramount, and it was also private and secure. I'm starting a new document.
Open it up and share
it. Calling it Letter to Pavel.
Telegram is based in Dubai. It has close to 1 billion users, but only about 60 employees, many of them engineers. From the start, Telegram took an extreme approach to free speech and offered more powerful features than other platforms, giving it mass appeal.
So you can send encrypted messages to your friends. You can create big chat groups where you have thousands of people chatting. Or you can turn it into a sort of one-way broadcast system where you are pumping out your propaganda and your message day after day
What?
to a group of people who are subscribing.
Who are
to
all
your
nuts. They're
broadcast
all
channel.
nuts because the internet broke their brains.
Telegram, much like the Chans, was a platform where almost anything went. There was virtually no moderation.
I really think some people should not be on the internet. I think it should be this privilege that gets taken away, kind of like a social thing. I want some of their internet access blocked. If they're gonna build school shooter prep rooms, then shut them off the internet. Take it off. You know, just don't let them do that. Oh boy, the leveling Black Mage is repetitive.
Justice activists in repressive countries, and it also became a place that was also useful for people committing crimes and terrorists.
In 2015, the app became popular with ISIS.
There's an app called Telegram that more and more members of ISIS are using.
Telegram became the preferred communication method for ISIS. The group used it to claim responsibility for the Paris attacks.
Under pressure from European governments, Telegram began to shut down ISIS channels. But accelerationists soon followed the ISIS example.
Extremists started plotting in a chat room called Telegram.
By 2019,
Telegram.
white supremacists were flocking to Telegram. From
Oh
8chan
no.
And from major platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, which were increasingly policing content and banning users. There was an organized effort by white supremacists and accelerationists to move onto Telegram, and they saw it as their new home and a place where maybe they wouldn't be harassed and kicked off the platform for a while. These are all people who have met to encourage one another to engage in acts of lethal terrorism and industrial sabotage. This is a very militant, aggressive, dangerous community. Nobody from Telegram would agree to an interview. In a written statement, the company said it has always screened postings for problematic content, and calls for violence from any group are not tolerated. But on October 12, 2022, a young man who had spent years in accelerationist chats on Telegram made the leap from online extremist to real-world terrorist.
Aww.
Here in Bratislava. That night, Radka Traksiarova had seen her two friends get gunned down outside the Teplaren bar. She'd also been shot, twice, in the leg, but dragged herself to safety.
Pamätám, akoby z druhej strany a doplavila som sa pod lavičku, ale ďalej to nešlo. Ani nejak sa že nadvihnúť, lebo to strašne bolo, keďže tá noha bola prestrelená, že celá stehenná kosť. Tak som ostala taká, že fakt niekto strieľal? Prečo by niekto toto robil?
In the hours after the attack, as 19-year-old Juraj Krajcik went on the run, he kept posting on social media. His handle was an acronym, NTMA 0315, Never Take Me Alive, March 15th, an apparent reference to the Christchurch attack.
Tento brutálny čin už odsúdila prezidentka, premiéry, ďalší politici.
Veľmi osobne bývam o ulicu ďalej, ako je Zámocká ulica, čiže som počul strely.
Marek Madro is a psychologist who runs a youth crisis hotline in Bratislava.
O pár hodín neskôr ma poprosila polícia, aby som sa pokúsil skontaktovať útočníka.
Polícia po útočníkovi stále pátra.
As the manhunt continued, the shooter was threatening to kill himself.
Mal som jeho telefónne číslo aj od spolužiakov, ale teda aj od polície. 12 SMS správach, ktoré som mu písal, mi nakoniec zdvihol telefón. Moja práca bola zachrániť chalanovi život, chalanovi v ohrození. On mi povedal, že zomrie, musí zomrieť a to, čo urobil, dúfa, že zatrasie to spoločnosťou, že to proste má zmysel, čo urobil a že áno, má obrovský strach, ale že bez toho, aby sa zabil, to nebude mať zmysel a ani sa nepripájate veľmi k tomu obsahu, ale k tomu spôsobu, akým hovoria. Až zaznel výstrel a zostal tam ticho.
I came here to try to understand more about what had motivated this 19-year-old to launch a terror attack and then kill himself. At the time, the authorities examined the shooter's manifesto, but little was known about his online connections to far-right extremists or who he'd been communicating with about his plans.
How's your morning going?
Not bad.
I met the prosecutor who oversaw the investigation of the attack.
Knew about the manifesto when we were on the crime scene already, because he published it, I think, a few hours before the attack. Now, that manifesto, if you read it, 90% of that is anti-Semitic. Frankly speaking, only a small part of it is against LGBT. The bulk of it is anti-Semitic.
What do you think led him to commit this act of terrorism and to subscribe to this extremist ideology?
Well, based on, of course, he made it very clear in the manifesto. I mean, he was interested very much in the Christchurch attack in New Zealand and in the attack committed by John Ernest in California. Those were the role models for him. It was kind of to a certain extent, you might call it a copycat crime.
Do you know if the attacker was a member of any real-world groups?
We were not able to establish that he was involved in any groups. From the investigation, it seems that he was a lone wolf.
But as I dug deeper, a different story began emerging. In his manifesto, Krychek had thanked the Terrorgram Collective for what he called its incredible writing, political texts, and practical guides. I had already heard of this group in 2019. It had started as an informal network on Telegram. At first, it's just a handful of chat rooms and channels on Telegram. Then it is bigger and bigger and bigger, and finally it takes on a formal shape. And people within that group say, now we're starting something called the Terrorgram Collective. And this is going to be our organized arm that is going to generate in-depth propaganda, in-depth material for this community. They're saying, hey, these guys like Brent and Tarrant, these people are heroes. We'll call them saints, and you should act like them. You should become a disciple of Brent and Tarrant and go out and kill people.
He posted it on Twitter.
I think, but I have to check.
I had been able to obtain a trove of archived posts from Telegram and other platforms. I teamed up with investigative journalist Lukasz Diko and Karim Shoimosh, who had reported on Terrorgram in the aftermath of the Bratislava shooting. In his manifesto, Krychek had also singled out a key individual from the Terrorgram Collective, known as Slovak Bro. Using the trove, we began to piece together a picture of Slovak Bro.
Wow.
Lucas came up with a bunch of usernames. I took those usernames.
So I had to text
and put
somebody
them everywhere I could find. And my understanding from looking at his social media history is that Slovak Bro starts off being like kind of a normie, and eventually he gets into accelerationism and terrorism, and you see the whole arc of his
Accelerationism. What does that mean?
The post showed that Slovak Bro was a founding member
All
of the
gas, no
Telegram
brakes.
community
That's what that
and
means.
one of its most prolific content creators. Slovak Bro is a big guy in this world. He has thousands of people in his channels. He's spreading all kinds of stuff. Some of it is instructions. This is how you do a crime and you don't get caught. Don't talk about, what you're gonna do on here. Some of it is inspirational. It's like, here's a graphic that's gonna inspire you to go kill people.
What?
Some of it is operational. It's like, here's a manual for making high-powered explosive or to 3D print a gun. Slovak Bro's real identity was Pavel Benedict, a 22-year-old Slovakian student.
He'd been arrested and jailed months before the Bratislava shootings and charged with more than 200 terrorism offenses stemming from his Telegram posts.
How is he free?
We wanted to find out what the Slovak authorities knew about any ties between him and Juraj Krajcik.
Were you able to establish if they were in any
That's
kind
about
of
go by
communication?
scrolls.
Well, they were in communication, but because we of course interrogated the person known as a Slovak bro in this case, and yes, they did communicate, but only very briefly.
And this was a direct message between the two?
Yes, of course, they did not know about their identities, but that was it. There was nothing significant in their communication.
You mean that Slovak bro didn't incite him to go and kill people?
No, not at all.
But Slovak authorities didn't have the whole picture.
The prosecutors say, oh, they didn't really know each other, they didn't communicate, they only had one brief interaction. Before we came here, I didn't know what Krajcik, the Bratislava attacker, had done online. Didn't know who he was online. I didn't know what he had posted. And when we were here, we discovered what I believe is his handle, his account in these Telegram chats. And it helped tell a different story than what law enforcement was telling.
Can you go just more up?
To find Krajcik's handle, Lukáš Diko and I pored over thousands of archived Telegram chats from the trove.
Slovak's war room.
This is Slovak's war room.
That's the one Slovak bro deleted?
Yeah. I started going through these chats looking to figure out who Juraj Krajcik was. Is he in these chats? Does he connect with Slovak bro? And then I found someone speaking Slovak, and it wasn't Slovak bro. It was someone else. So I thought, oh, this person could be Juraj Krajcik. This is Slovak bro, and
Yes.
now he's speaking in your language.
It's Bobby, my friend. Let's fight.
The user went by the name Bobby Bowie.
These are chats with another Telegram group.
Zeroing in on Bobby Bowie revealed more than 500 posts in Slovak Bros chats in late 2019, the early days of Telegram.
Then there's other language in here that's like the language in his manifesto. It's almost exactly.
It soon became clear that Bobby Bowie was Juraj Krajcik.
This is his manifesto, and he's talking about these memes that he saw on 8chan about Brenton Tarrant, the Christchurch attacker. In the posts on Telegram, he's talking about the same exact thing, comparing Russia and America and saying they're both controlled by Jews. All this stuff that's
Krajcik mentions in the manifesto.
Yeah.
We could now track Krajcik's radicalization on Telegram and see what his life was like before the attack.
This is the apartment complex?
Yes.
He had been living a comfortable life with his family in a middle-class neighborhood a few miles from the center of Bratislava's Old Town.
Because they donate to him.
The chat logs show he'd spent many hours a day on Telegram.
You know, Juraj Krajcik got on that platform. He was already a racist.
But he was molded and shaped by the veterans on that platform who were really looking for someone for the things that they wanted to do. Krajcik was only 16, getting primed for the militant accelerationist cause. Discussing the merits of other so-called saints with Slovak Bro, including synagogue attacker John T. Ernest.
There's conversations between Juraj Krajcik and Pavel Benedict, where Pavel Benedict says, John Ernest, down in San Diego, he messed up. He didn't kill enough people. And he was running from these Jewish people in the synagogue. He's like, that's a bad look. That's bad optics. You need to be better than that. Train, prepare, be a better killer. These are conversations that he was having with Juraj Krajcik. It was all about killing.
Krajcik was in. He soon began posting about potential targets for terror attacks, spending hours in Slovak Bros chat. In one instance, posting his own photographs of LGBTQ protesters at a climate rally.
Amid the hundreds of posts we looked at, one popped out.
This is it. This is the thing that this is what blew my mind. I'm scrolling through here and then I see that the attacker has posted about the place where the attack happened years before. This is his username, talking about the place that Krychek was going to go shoot, the cafe, the gay bar. And then there's all this discussion between Krychek and Slovak Bro about attacking the place. And Slovak Bro says, I don't want to even use nail bombs with that joint. What I want to do is so unprintable that hell is going to be preferable. And the guy we think is the attacker says, just saying it will instantly make a squad of federal agents appear behind you and arrest you. So this is from September of 2019. He'd been thinking about it for years.
I brought the trove of terror.
I think the subject matter has been dark enough. Oh yeah, no, never mind. It fell, huh? And it fell, did it? Ah, okay. Well, we'll stick around.
This is an amazing library of data.
Where Pierre Vaux works as an open source investigator.
Once you start building up a huge amount of data, you need to start putting it into a different graphical setting because otherwise it becomes overwhelming to read.
He created a database from our chat archives as well as other sources that showed how the Telegram network expanded in the years after 2019 and how Slovak Bro was central to it.
This is Slovak Bro, who ran a Telegram channel called Slovak Seed Shack, and the chat room attached to that really had a sort of who's who of the Nazi scene at that time as members of it.
Oh, wow.
So you can see his, like, emergence in 2019, and these are people mentioning him, and these are messages from him.
Yeah, interesting.
Each of the lines here is a forward or a mention. That's one channel sending people to another channel. So this is a visualization that really shows us where these people are talking, often quite candidly because of the perception of privacy that Telegram brings, especially as some of these are private groups.
He was able to find more evidence of Krychek's activity in the Telegram community.
So Bobby Bowie had come up lots of times in this data set because he was coming up as a member of the chat, but we didn't know who he was. We were looking for what nodes turn up in networks over and over again. So Krychek's account is Bob Bowie, and we can expand that one. He was a very active user of all these channels. I've got another 40 channels he was in.
Holy. These are all chats?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're like sick.
So
they're
I
like
knew
weird,
he was in
sick,
14 words. He's
they're like Satan's like minions come to the earth to do hate circles that are like intricate. They're like weird, like inner demons of hell.
Some like kind of Q stuff. He's in some
They're
like,
totally unaware. They think that we're the enemy or whatever, but no, they're just Satan's like full-blown tools or whatever you want to call it. Like, and I only refer to that from like a biblical sense. Like, really, they're just bad men.
Yeah, like
stuff.
there's...
But like, that's a lot more than I knew.
Especially it looks like Slovak Bro was bringing him into his much smaller chat.
What's really clear now is that Slovak Bro had been trying for years to influence people to engage in terrorism, and he was successful. Yuri Krychek is his product. Yuri Krychek is somebody that he influenced.
These fucking nutballs.
We took our reporting on Slovak Bro and Yuri Krychek
Fuck.
to Slovak authorities.
God damn, I fucked
It's really
up.
become clear to me that Yuri Krychek and Slovak Bro had ongoing conversations for years.
But you know, for us, this communication was not a normal communication.
Peter Kaisel is the prosecutor who oversaw the investigation into Slovak Bro. But he said he'd never seen the 2019 messages between the two men.
The fact is that we were not aware of these communications. The prosecution office was not aware about this communication.
You were surprised when you learned that they were having these extensive conversations.
Yeah, because there was a communication in 2019 and the attack was in 2022, so there was a really gap.
Yeah, and
Well, maybe
I
I'm
believe
done
that
finally.
connection persisted past 2019, but it seems to me like Slovak Bro lied to you about his level of connection.
Yeah, it's possible.
Throughout 2020, Telegram was evolving from a loose network of accounts into a prolific propaganda machine made up of dozens of accelerationist channels, with Slovak Bro at its center.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Hate Lab. All right, Slovak Bro
Hate
is
Lab.
joining us for the very first time on Hate Lab.
That year, Pavel Benedict,
Why do you sound
as
so
Slovak
white?
Bro, was interviewed on a Telegram-related podcast.
Yeah, I'm the guy who runs Slovak Sea Check. I've been in this thing for a couple of years, and then I decided to become a content producer because that's what this movement, quote unquote, really needs, you know.
Law enforcement in the U.S. and abroad was taking notice.
What's interesting about this collective is how transnational it is and how interconnected some of the players are in it.
Rebecca Weiner's Deputy Commissioner for Intelligence and Counterterrorism at the NYPD. Her unit was monitoring Telegram as it stepped up production of extremist content.
The influence of Slovak Bro in this world was quite strong, not just around Telegram collective and propaganda output, but also encouraging people to take next steps into action.
You are the revolutionary, so act like it. Hail victory, man.
Yes, sir.
What?
Read useful literature, get useful skills.
By 2021, Slovak Bro and others had begun calling themselves the Telegram Collective and released an official publication under the new name.
Goddamn losers.
This was the first time that we started to see
Asinine.
the bringing together of some of the ideological output of Saints culture and of the sort of broader aesthetic of the Telegram Collective with specific instructional material that was calling for attacks against specific groups and really generating a clearer violent extremist ideology.
It was posted as a PDF designed to be shared widely. More official Telegram publications would follow.
So you have this sanctification of martyrs who've come before, combined with the ideology that you see at play in many of these manifestos, neo-Nazi propaganda, targeting guidance and tactical guidance, how to make certain kinds of explosives, as well as who you might want to target.
In October 2021, a new series of Telegram publications began to emerge called The List. Alleged assassination targets with addresses, maps of their homes, and rationales for killing.
And it's basically just this ongoing hit list of dozens and dozens of people. American corporate leaders, government officials, academics, and others.
Telegram tried to shut down user accounts that were posting the list. In its statement to us, the company said it had been removing groups and channels using the Telegram name since it first surfaced,
Wait, no, that's the
and that
one.
it was harder for criminals to open accounts on Telegram than other platforms. But in many cases, we saw in the archived posts that users had just opened new accounts and new channels and continued posting about assassinations.
The nature of Telegram as an app is that many of the channels are highly ephemeral in nature. They come and go and are able to be easily replaced. It's very easy to sidestep enforcement attempts that really try to use a whack-a-mole approach to take down.
The targeting of Americans triggered an international criminal investigation involving law enforcement in the US and Europe. In May 2022, Slovak Bro was arrested and was ultimately sentenced to 6 years in prison for more than 100 terrorism offenses. But the Telegram Collective lived on.
Telegram is not reliant on any one individual or entity to make it what it is. What we often see is these leaders in the Telegram space come and go. They fall off, they build back brands, they gain prominence, they lose prominence. It's very much a fluid environment where no one person owns a commanding stake of it.
Researcher Matt Kreiner has studied how other Telegram leaders emerged after the arrest of Slovak Bro, including one known as Miss Gorehound.
Miss Gorehound is one of the aliases that we know to be a central figure within the Telegram ecosystem. She has been a strong proponent of the development of the Telegram publications, ran a number of channels that had direct influence and ownership over the Saints culture. Miss Gorehound picked that up and said, this is a model. We can actually turn this into a very consolidated pipeline for radicalization and mobilization of individuals to carry out more terrorist attacks.
So there's a lot of overlap between these people. Miss Gorehound, otherwise known as RWBC, standing for Right Wing Book Club, who runs another range of Telegram channels in the Telegram network. We can select that, and we can see that she's got her Cat Enjoys Anonymous channel, she's got the Right Wing Book Club one, she's got Rider 88, Rider Returns, Miss Gore 88. Now when we highlight these groups, again, we get a lot of shared channels with Miss Gorehound. This is a closed chat, but these individuals are really active in it.
The database showed that
And they cause all the problems in the world, I guarantee it.
A group chat run by Miss Gorehound.
So if you look at someone like Miss Gorehound, they're super connected because they're creating loads of channels and they're infiltrating loads of channels. Whereas someone like Krychik are the opposite of that in a way. They're just really desperate to get into this. They found a wonderful world of friendly, like-minded people with their funny memes that they can consume, and you know, it gives them a sense of camaraderie and belonging.
What you see in the chats that I've read is that he's getting ideas from the older people. He's expressing his desire to target specific targets, and he's being pushed in this very violent direction, and also this direction of sort of self-immolation that it's heroic to go and kill and then kill yourself.
Miss Gorehound is alleged to be this woman, Dallas Erin Humber. She's pleaded not guilty to terrorism charges and is in jail awaiting trial.
Oh, they got her on?
Her identity was originally exposed and posted online by a group of
What kind of name is that, Gorehound? It's like a WoW name.
One of them agreed to speak
like
to
a
us.
Corehound, but a Gorehound. What the fuck?
Tell me about Dallas and her life.
She is a 35-year-old woman from Elk Grove, California. She considers herself an artist.
What was her role in the
She considers herself an artist.
She started as mass murderers manifestos.
She considers herself an artist.
It was a new kind of propaganda. Manifesto audiobooks.
Any mass murder manifestos she got her hands on, she would turn into an audiobook and put it out.
Mass immigration will disenfranchise us, subvert our nations, destroy our communities.
The Shooter audiobooks became a signature.
Long before low fertility rates ever could.
The audiobooks were posted to Telegram channels linked to her.
How important would you say she was in the Telegram
for Satan?
The Telegram scene?
I think initially she was just
I think she was just kind of like a lieutenant, but then she kind of ended up being a 5-star general in Satan's army. Eventually he came for her and married her. Oh my god. The right wing. Jesus Christ. It's like tracking Hitler. It's so dumb. Eventually he took her for wife. And then they spawned the, you know, they spawned Damien.
The username and this channel, or BTC.
Please do. Please do.
We can zoom in on an individual. So here we've got
at least they're
BTC,
self-aware.
which is the alias behind several Telegram channels, which all have similar initials. So Bold Turds Coin, Ban This Channel, and Big Chicken. Now, BTC is a super spreader. in terms
Super
of
spreader.
Telegram group membership.
BTC was the white whale of the Telegram collective. Everyone knew about his posts, but no one knew who he was. And this, for us, was a big puzzle. So BTC first emerged on YouTube, and his shtick was creating content that was controversial enough to get him banned. He created dozens of channels and groups on Telegram.
I wasn't sure whether BTC was one person, whether it was maybe a small group of people that were putting these videos together.
When did you first become aware of BTC?
Yeah, I first became aware of BTC through a specific video that BTC produced called The Last Battle on a Telegram channel that I was monitoring. And then started seeing other videos circulating on Telegram that were also allegedly made by this BTC.
We're building, we're organizing.
They serve the purpose of propaganda to do things.
They're always so
recruiting
crazy. Look at
people
them.
and sustain members, in this case, encouraging violence.
It's about to be a white boy summer.
What?
BTC posted around 120 videos, many of them with graphic, racist, and anti-Semitic violence, clips of the Christchurch attack video, and homophobic imagery. Telegram's most infamous video was a BTC Miss Gorehound collaboration.
We know that the narrator's Dallas Humber.
105 white men and women of action have taken.
So white terror is meant for somebody who's been indoctrinated, and the push is, if you do commit an act of violence, this is what you can expect. You will be celebrated too.
Breaking news right now, the Justice Department charging 2 people saying that they were leading a white supremacist group that wanted to ignite a race war.
In September 2024,
Why are they always trying to
the
ignite
mystery of
race
BTC's
wars?
identity
What's
was
wrong with you, right wing?
The
I just don't really understand it.
Federal prosecutors announced they had arrested 2 leaders of the Telegram collective. One was Dallas Humber.
Good.
The other, a 37-year-old man named Matthew Allison.
We were very familiar with Dallas Humber. The second person was a 37-year-old we'd never heard of. But as we talked with researchers over the next day, it became pretty clear to us that Matt Allison was none other than BTC.
Allison lived in Boise, Idaho.
We wanted to find out who Matt Allison really was. We went to Boise and started talking with people who knew Matt Allison in the real world.
Hi, I'm James Chandler, good friend of Allison's.
And the story that we unraveled was frankly very disturbing because this man was living a complete double life.
We learned that in public, Matthew Allison was an aspiring DJ who worked menial jobs and partied with friends in the local electronic dance music community. But federal investigators say that in private, he was helping run the Telegram collective.
We quickly got a picture of a person who
He was an EDM raver in the peacenik druggy scene. He was a libtard. And then but in the background, he was just spewing hate because his fucking brain had been broken by all these weird white hate groups on fucking 4chan. And it's like, Jesus Christ, man, you're a raver. You're hanging out with raver people who do drugs and are liberal and do butt sex and stuff like this. I mean, that's what your personal life is. But then you go online at night when you go home at night or whatever, and you stir up like race hatred and try to start a race war. And it's like fucking weird. You guys are so weird. You're always such clowns like this. Clown shoes. Fucking clown shoes.
hung out with a very multicultural group of friends and a person who was also a gay man. So
His crew
while
is
he was
like these ravers.
living the life of a gay man in Boise on Telegram, he was
a gay
making
man?
posts celebrating the murders of gay people.
Oh
within
my
Bratislava.
god, he was a complete hypocrite. Oh my god.
Matthew Allison agreed to talk to James against the advice of his lawyer.
No, he's probably proud of it. Oh
No
my
cameras
god.
were allowed in the jail.
Of course not.
After the interview, James called me.
Hey, so what happened?
So he came out. He's exactly like we were told, tall, rangy, skinny guy. He confirmed. He said he didn't confess like to the crimes. He just confessed to being BTC to the FBI. So he said he urged people to just be legal on the channel and to not actually incite actual violent acts. He chalks it up to being an artist. This is my free expression. I'm an artist, and he's really proud of a lot of his work.
So he's not contrite. He's not taking it back. He's
Oh, no, I knew it. I knew it. He was like he's shameless too. He's like shameless, right?
About it, and I think he's going to push a hardcore free speech, case on it if he can.
He described himself as a video artist, a person who was creating art
Oh my
and content that was
god.
protected under the First Amendment. He denied being a terrorist. He denied wanting to incite people.
Bullshit. You guys know you're trying to start
He
school
admitted that he was an
shooters. You're trying to
ethno-nationalist.
start school shooters. You're Satan
And he says, "I
spawn.
believe
You're
white
doing
people
what
need
Daddy
to band
Satan told
together.
you to do,
We need
Trump.
tribe up.
You know?
Tribe up is how he
Jesus
put
Christ.
it. And he called the indictment bull.
Prosecutors alleged that Dallas Humber and Matthew Allison were both in direct contact with the Bratislava shooter, Juraj Krajcik, in the year before his attack. The indictment accuses Humber of pushing a message in her posts. To become a Telegram saint, you had to be white and kill those deemed inferior. The mission was clear: to indoctrinate younger people on Telegram. She allegedly wrote about one user. He's like 18 years old and seems very impressionable. I'm trying to radicalize him. I found posts from July 2022 where she was promoting a new Telegram publication. Soon after its release, Juraj Krajcik was talking to her about it.
Look at this.
Okay, guys, I am hungry, and all I've had to eat today was like a juice, like a fucking juice drink at like, I don't know, like 2 or something, and it's like almost 9 now. I'm going to pause to make dinner and go to the bathroom and all that, and take a little bio break here. So I will be gone here like 3 minutes. I just got to throw some tortillas and cheese and beans and stuff in the microwave. So. And I gotta close my door and all this other stuff, so I'm just gonna go get that out of the way. I have a zone right here, so I'm going to use it. Okay. My 30 thief is very low, and it does not have the protection. Maybe thief white mage. I don't know. I really don't know. I think white mage is not as strong in terms of melee as thief is at all. Although white mage does hurt. Yeah. We'll go make dinner. I'll be right back. microwave's off. Let us make a Mexican plate. I don't know. Let's do that one. First, I have to pee so bad. Much better. Okay, so where are my microwavable plates? They should be here. Are they not here? Did I move them? Oh. Nice microwavable plate here. So we move back to the drawer. Actually, I don't think I need this. I don't think I want it. I don't think I need it. You know, I meant to buy feta and I fucking forgot. Damn it. What I am gonna have froze the cheese. Well, what do I do now? I think it's fine. We'll just blue cheese the top of this, I guess. Sort of dumb, but that's alright. Sheep meal. Kind of fucked it up. That's alright. I didn't know that I didn't know to cross this cheese. Where is that cheese? Where's that cheese? There it is. How to cross this cheese now? Ah. Okay. Want to go take a look at Eve while the microwave runs for 60 more seconds. You log me out, which is okay. Right now, currently, you want me to talk to her. Oh yeah, complete mission. Oh, did I do it? Shit, did I leave the drones there? No. Okay, good. Request. Okay, another encounter.
Warp drive active.
Okay, almost dinner time here. This wasn't quite the meal I wanted because the cheese wasn't defrosted. I suppose actually I could throw frozen cheese on it. I mean, does that matter? I guess it sort of does. Oh yeah, my hair is, I don't remember. There should be more of it now, honestly. It's a shame that I didn't get it totally what I wanted, but that's alright. I don't think it totally matters. To me, it's all the same. It's all the same color in the end. This pen is not going to be that good. I don't know. Sucks, but what can I do? I'll let it cool down a little bit more. Okay.
And then this is the US person who's a terragrammer, Dallas, and says, I haven't finished reading it yet, but it's a literary and artistic masterpiece. And she says, what were some of your favorite passages?
Warp drive active.
I know that Uri Krychek and Dallas Humber were in contact. And I know that Dallas Humber was repeatedly encouraging Krychek to engage in terrorism and cheerleading for terrorism. That's her own words.
She says, I love those two. I hope the next saints out there read those passages and feel inspired.
Docking permission
At the
I
same
mean, it tastes
time,
good.
Uri Krychek had started posting on a private Twitter
Docking
channel.
request accepted. Docking permission requested.
All the screenshots.
It was the
Oh, I
diary
left
of
the
a
drones
fully
there with.
radicalized accelerationist.
We find ourselves in a critical situation.
Go back.
We will need to radically alter the course of history, and only radical action can do that.
I left the
In
drones.
mid-August 2022, Krychek starts to do reconnaissance. He posts about targeting the Prime Minister of Slovakia.
Hashtag Edward Hager, hashtag NTMA0315, test and preparation.
There were several targets. The perpetrator made a list of targets based on the difficulty to commit a successful attack.
Jakub Gajdosz was a counterterrorism official assigned to the Krychek case.
Preparing an attack, he took several pictures of the potential targets. The highest ranked place of hitting the Prime Minister. And I think it's this one, because you can identify the bush and identify the two windows that are on the picture actually.
Oh, yeah. It looks like it.
August 15th, Krychek tweets 3 selfies in front of the home of the Prime Minister, along with the caption.
Just taking a look at some places.
In his rankings of the targets, an attack on a Jewish community should follow.
Later that day, Krychek tweets sarcastically.
As a proud LGBTQIAP+ Jew, I would like you all to join me at the Chabad office today, before we proceed to the LGBTQIAP+ bar for a drink.
Attached are 2 more selfies. One in front of a Jewish community center.
Why are you so
the other
evil?
in front of his final target,
Warp drive
the Teflon
active.
bar. In the coming weeks, his tweets reflect his commitment to violence.
I don't expect to make it. In all likelihood, I will die in the course of the operation.
September 6th.
I want to damage the system to the best of my abilities.
September 16th.
Accelerationism means helping the system collapse faster.
October 10th.
Docking permission
People who I
requested.
consider heroes and role
Docking
models,
request
Brenton
accepted.
Tarrant and John T. Ernest.
What?
And finally, October 11th.
I have made my decision.
The next night, when Krychek was on the run after his attack, U.S. prosecutors say he sent a direct message to Matthew Allison, BTC. He wrote, "Not sure how much time I have, but it's happening." They allege he also sent Allison his manifesto. It was posted on several accounts linked to BTC. Ms. Gorehound's accounts also announced the news. Uri Krychek was hailed as Terragram's very first saint.
We mourn Saint Krychek's death, but his
A few days later, she released the manifesto as an audiobook.
his manifesto is absolute fire. And
Here was someone that they successfully indoctrinated and encouraged to kill, and he'd gone out and done it.
Oh my god.
By the time of the Bratislava attack, law enforcement was already closing in on the Terragram Collective. The downfall of the Terragram Collective starts with the arrest of Pavel Benedict. He gets arrested in 2022, and then you see a cascade of arrests around the world of people who are both collective leaders
at people who are responding.
I wonder how they managed to do that.
Broader
They just
Telegram community.
had their diplomats talk.
An 18-year-old is accused in a plot to destroy a PSE&G power plant.
Authorities would arrest around a dozen people allegedly tied to the group, including Dallas Humber and Matthew Allison. They were charged with leading a transnational terrorist organization, encouraging hate crimes and terrorist attacks.
Most of them were gay
The
liberals.
Telegram? We have a collapse specifically.
Most of them
this
were gay
particular
pot-smoking
network.
liberals.
But is that the end? Absolutely not.
Neo-Nazis walk through Nashville.
Conspiracy by white supremacists to attack a portion of the Northwest power grid.
These groups come and go all the time. Individuals come and go all the time.
The group chanting white power in other racially provocative language.
And unfortunately, there's no indications that these ideas and emotions and practices that are associated with things like terrorgrams are going anywhere.
Hate crimes have been on the rise for the past several years.
Especially given the broader climate that exists within our society. There will be new terrorgrams that take its place by another name, and we will continue to see this kind of extremism propagated through platforms of various sorts, not just Telegram.
The US, UK, and Australia have officially designated Telegram as a transnational terrorist group. And Telegram, the platform, is facing its own troubles.
Pavel Durov has been arrested for allegedly failing to moderate criminal activity on the platform.
So in August 2024, we saw the founder of Telegram, Pavel Durov, arrested and charged on the basis of alleged complicity in the spread of a range of different illegal content on his platform, from child sexual abuse material through to engagement in drug trafficking. This is a hugely significant moment in really showing how far the platform had come and how authorities were frustrated by its unwillingness to take actions. This is really unprecedented. After Durov's arrest, he publicly pledged to work more closely with law enforcement on action against illegal content on the platform, including providing IP addresses in cases of legitimate warrants being served.
Nah, he's sold out.
Durov has called the charges misguided for trying to hold a CEO personally responsible for crimes committed by a third party. Telegram told us while it is still dedicated to upholding free speech, it now has around 750 contractors to moderate problematic content. It said since 2022, it has partnered with a counter-extremism group to remove more than 129 million pieces of content.
Telegram is
Becomes
still
censored.
one of the more lawless places. The Telegram.
Really? Wow. Gotta put my dishes away. I'm gonna get some dessert. Oh, I can see what I'm up against. Cookies and cream. It's gonna be amazing. I can see what I'm up against. Oh God.
Channels, a lot of them have disappeared or gone dark, but you can still find plenty of awful content on Telegram.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Even 5 months after Matthew Allison was arrested, you could still go on Telegram and find all his racist videos, the ones urging people to kill, the assassination manuals.
Can't get this
It
thing
wasn't
open.
until we actually pointed this out to Telegram
There we go.
that they took this content down.
Yep. They don't care.
Texas and Florida both passed laws restricting tech platforms from moderating content and blocking political views.
Does the First Amendment protect these companies, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, from curating content?
For years now, social media companies have sort of been trying to balance two things: how to make their platforms safe, and then also how to give people a place where they can express themselves.
Republicans have argued there's too much content moderation on social media. Democrats often say there is not enough.
The debate recently has been about whether the policing of content has gone too far and whether content moderation basically amounts to censorship.
Hundreds of Twitter accounts belonging to far-right activists and QAnon theorists have been reinstated.
That debate is going to keep going.
We're going to get rid of fact-checkers and replace them with community notes.
But this is what the Telegram story is about, is the extreme end of all this. What do you do as a company when you have people on your platform saying, let's go kill folks, let's assassinate people, let's do sabotage and terrorism? How do you deal with that?
We call upon governments around the world to bring an end to hate speech and the politics of fear.
Yep.
What
We
we've
pray
seen
this
through the
never happens
Telegram
again. I'm sorry.
story is that there are consequences to unfettered free speech, to having influencers out there advocating violence or mass murder.
Yep. Something's really wrong with them. Year 5 back there. Year 5 back there. There we go. Much better. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna get on Mortal. Let's go back to it. It feels good to get a break there. Yeah, I have money, so I want to go get a carriage at my house. Oh, my keyboard's low on battery. There we go. This was really good, PBS. I really enjoyed this. I had no idea. I like, thank you for you know, educating me. Who's crashing out harder, Doge or Tesla? By Josh Johnson.
You guys are so wonderful. Are y'all ready for your headliner? Y'all start clapping right now. Give it up for Josh Johnson.
I don't know if y'all saw everything that's happening with Tesla either. That's crazy stuff. Okay, so basically, if you're not aware, Tesla's an electric vehicle that, you know, rewind just a couple of years was not a political statement at all. It was a car you could buy or not buy. It was just a car on the market that had some stock, and the stock would go up and go down and go up and go down. And then, you know, Elon Musk decides to get involved with politics and gives anywhere from like $250 to I think maybe $270 million to Trump's campaign. And then Trump wins and Elon becomes the president. And so Elon becomes the president, and people don't really know how to feel because this particular thing hasn't happened before. There's always been like millionaires and billionaires donating to campaigns and stuff like that, but this is the most like infused a person has been in like what's gonna happen, and it's very clear in what is self-serving when it comes to like Elon's actions and everything. And so then, you know, Inauguration Day comes, and there's all the fanfare of like this new administration is starting, and there are some people who own Teslas already, like they bought theirs in 2022, and they would tell people, hey, I bought mine in 2022. Like, I don't. Just so you know, I got mine in 2022. I didn't know, and I wasn't a part of, and I was trying to get an electric vehicle, help the environment. I didn't know it would be. So, just so you know about me. And then Elon's giving a speech, and then he says, my heart goes out to you. And then he does like a full-on Nazi salute, right? And does it again, for clarity. And there is a part of me that genuinely, when someone buys something, especially something expensive, and then something happens with that company, a part of me does feel for them, because there are people who bought their Tesla in 2022. They might have been sitting in their Tesla when they saw Elon do a Nazi salute like. And now you sitting here, you gotta lease this car. I don't know if y'all saw, but Trump released the JFK files, or at least is starting to release the JFK files, and yeah, it's a lot. He said there's like 80,000 pages or something. I think they've released like anywhere from like 2 to 20,000 already, with more to come.
We haven't done the deep dive on that. Let's go look. I don't like how that's a question mark. Let's go find out. Glenn Beck, Matt Walsh. Oh my God.
The files include documents from the CIA and FBI, illegible handwritten notes, and diplomatic cables, more than tens of thousands of pages in all.
And everything will be revealed.
Released after an executive order by President Trump, they were highly anticipated by scholars and amateur conspiracy theorists who hoped they'd shed new light on whether Lee Harvey Oswald had help on that fatal day in Dallas. Some of the documents include CIA reports on Oswald's trips to the Soviet Union and Finland, and his months in Mexico City just before the assassination. Scholars say it will take months to go through it all, but they believe most of what's in the files was already known. In 1964, the Warren Commission found that Oswald was the lone assassin.
Bottom line, will the release of these documents do anything to resolve the conspiracy theories that have proliferated for decades?
I don't think anything that has survived for over 61 years in many cases will reveal much of anything that will solve the problem.
One revelation, a massive CIA Cold War operation to open as many as 1 million letters or packages a month, mailed to and from the Soviet Union and the U.S. The CIA secretly spying on Americans. None
Damn it, CIA! Damn it! Shame on you, CIA!
JFK's grandson Jack Schlossberg reacted to the release, posting on social media that President Trump is obsessed with his grandfather, but contradicts what he stands for.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top
Don't
stories on
tell
the
me what to
NBC
do.
News app or follow.
Nope.
Let's bring in our guest, William Benjamin. He's a lawyer in Nashville who helps people navigate the Social Security system. Has to be one of the hardest jobs in the legal practice right now. So, Benjamin, thank you for being with us. Let's start with just the basics here. The promise, right? Something like we pay 6 to 12% to Social Security in the hopes that someday we're going to get it back, right? What's the status right now?
Well, the status right now is a very scary situation. The Trump administration is, with that DOJ department, is basically going in with a sledgehammer. These Social Security administration's understaffed to begin with. When you have understaffing issues to begin with, to go in and then cut jobs and say that it's for the sake of efficiency and make it better, just flies into the face of any kind of common sense. These cuts are going to, like for instance, the newest ones with the ID verification over the, it has to be done in person. By year end, we're going to have over 12,000 people a day filing for retirement. Right now, it takes a couple hours quite often just to get through to a Social Security office because they're understaffed. If these cuts go through where they eliminate 7,000 jobs and eliminate the ability to communicate with Social Security over the phone, it's going to have a huge impact. There are people that are rural Americans who don't have access to internet services. There are seniors who don't feel comfortable using internet services. They won't have transportation to get to the Social Security office. The other thing is, like right now in Nashville, our Social Security office is on an appointment-only basis. You got to call and get an appointment. And it's a month before you can even get in the door in many cases. There's just going to be, it's just going to exacerbate the issue. This isn't even talking about our homeless population. If you're in the hospital and you have to file for disability benefits, how are you going to file if you can't do it over the phone? How are you going to personally go down and get it in? To put it clearly, if you asked me, how do I make the Social Security Administration paralyzed, this is the exact recipe I would give you.
And let me, I mean, it's funny because a person that navigates the Social Security system for a living, for other people, that would be the type of expertise I would want if I was...
And stuff. And I don't know about anybody else, but when it comes to JFK and the conspiracies around his death, those were like some of the first moments that you saw for at least a wide population of Americans trust in government and its agencies break. A trust that they've never got back since, where like whole government agencies don't have the trust of the people, because up until then, you know, maybe they classified things, maybe they told the public lies or whatever, but they were things that people felt like they could at least get on with life believing. You know, JFK was the first thing for a lot of people that spawned the real like tinfoil hat stuff, what aren't they telling us sort of thing. And so you would see something like this big release of the files, you know, 20,000 with like 60,000 more to come. And it's kind of crazy that everyone sees that and they're like, nah, I'm good. 80,000 pages? I don't think JFK cares that much. That's 80,000 pages. Game of Thrones isn't 80,000 pages. 80,000 pages is insane. What are you doing? You know, it's like, the thing is full. It's full. I've read some of it, and it's full of things that are snapshots of the time that JFK was assassinated in, but they aren't things that people are looking for. When people talk about files that they want released, they're talking about things that probably have been destroyed forever, like the some of the autopsy files, some of the coroner's notes, all that stuff like that is not in what's been released. What's been released are the goings on of like Cuba, Mexico City, USSR, and everything. And the one thing that we did find out for sure through the release of the files is that the CIA had a much bigger file and much more knowledge of Lee Harvey Oswald than we previously thought. And they had been tracking his movements and everything. He had been going to these different countries. I'm pretty sure he went to Mexico City for a little bit, and then he went to the USSR, and I don't know if the word is defect, but he basically was trying to leave the U.S., become an expat and join USSR, and even tore up his passport and everything, and the USSR was like, oh, nah. Nah, we good. That's crazy to me. That's someone, you have a CIA file on you and you're trying to move to the USSR, and they are like, you giving off some bad vibes. Like, I don't know what it is, but you creeping everybody out. Like, you stare too much, dog. Like, what are you looking at when you're looking over here? It's unsettling. Just take that somewhere else. And so then he came back somehow. Didn't seem like he had a problem coming back, even though he tore up his passport. And then commits the assassination, and then Jack Ruby kills Lee Harvey Oswald. And there were so many people who thought that Jack Ruby's mob ties meant that he was sort of there to close up loose end, you know, that maybe the mob did it. And even now, there are people that say, oh no, the mob did it, Cuba did it, the Soviets did it.
Everyone did it.
I think that when you're going through all these pages and you're reading this stuff that we're learning about how much the CIA and the FBI actually knew and didn't do anything, it doesn't really surprise me. It doesn't do much for me in the way of a revelation. And it's probably just because, you know, because I'm black. You know what I mean? As a black guy, I'm not going to sit here and be like, not the CIA. You mean to tell me the CIA? Next, you're going to be talking about the FBI. Guys, no, not at all. Because that's the thing. That's what trips me up too, is all these pages are getting released. There are things that were released during Trump's first administration that were redacted pretty heavily, and then they've been re-released, not redacted, right? Or just one line redacted. So much so that there are people that are actually mad at Trump because they're like, some of that stuff, some of those people are still alive. What are you doing? You know what I mean? And so then, you know, you'll have like one little line that's redacted, and you'll have someone obsess over that specific line because it's not finding the truth for them. It's about keeping the conspiracy going, you know? Because you even see, they uploaded it to the archives. You can check it out in the archives right now. They uploaded everything they've uploaded so far, in my opinion, they've done pretty badly. I think they just had a scanner and they were like, he said today, so. I know it's crooked. He said today, I know. Some of this, honestly, I looked at some of the files, some of it, some of the handwriting in some of the notes, whether it's written by a CIA agent or like some politician, some of the notes in there are so bad. Like the handwriting is so bad. I'm like, he did it. Like that's suspicious as hell handwriting. be redacted. Oh, that's what they don't want you to see. That's where all the truth is. It's like, look, maybe. I'm not even saying that's not possible, maybe. But also, maybe it's just like an address that makes sure that a person who has nothing to do with this doesn't get implicated. You know, there are all types of reasons to redact something. And it's when people put that much weight on the thing to keep the whole thing going that I'm like, you don't want to know. You want to keep guessing, you know? And don't get me wrong, it's fun. It's fun to guess. I love guessing. I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. Sometimes I'm just guessing. You know, best way I can describe it is I'm a fight fan, so I watch boxing, I watch MMA and stuff like that, and I watch men's fights, I watch women's fights, and I just kind of follow the fighter and follow their journey and enjoy who I enjoy because I like the person and I like their story, right? And there was this young woman, I do not know if she is from Brazil. I think she is because I'm pretty sure she was speaking Portuguese, and she only speaks Portuguese. She doesn't speak English. So after fights, when someone wins, especially if they don't speak the language, they will do the post-fight interview right there. And they might do another press conference later, but they'll do the post-fight interview. And if they do not speak the language, someone will come out, a translator for the promotion will come out. And in this case, her translator was her coach. So she wins the fight, and it's big. It's the biggest fight that she's won of her career. It puts her in the rankings and everything. And so the announcer walks up, and he's like, "Congratulations on a fantastic fight. Was this win mean to you? It's sort of putting you on the map right now against such a tough opponent." And she speaks for like 8 seconds, and then her coach goes, "Thank you so much, everybody, for watching my fight. I really appreciate it. I worked really hard, and thank you so much for the love." And then she speaks for another 8 seconds, and the coach is like, "Everything that I do, I'm doing for y'all at home, from my town, to show you that no matter what, where you're from, you can make it on the world stage." And then the announcer asks her, what are your future plans? What's next for you, you know? Now that you're in the rankings, is there a certain opponent you want to call out? And she speaks even shorter this time, for like 6 seconds. And then her coach is like, "Yeah, the next plans are anybody who wants it, all right? I'm taking heads, I'm taking necks. I want your limbs, give me your arms, give me your legs. If I see you on the street, it's already on, you already know. The best thing you could do is drop out of the division right now, because I'm coming for all y'all's necks. I'm killing everybody, all right? You're gonna dream about me, and then when you wake up, I'm gonna be there. That's on God, okay? I'm killing all of y'all. None of y'all can stop me. None of y'all can touch me. What I did to her was a mercy kill. I'm coming to kill y'all for real. I want your bodies, okay? I'm stacking bodies, all right? And the champ, I'm going to beat the champ, and I'm going to beat the brakes off the champ in her hometown. She's going to bleed in front of her people, okay? And then they exited the octagon. They went ahead and left, and then there was a fighter, because, you know, fighters watch other fighters' fights, and they'll live tweet it, and he tweeted right after that whole thing, "She ain't say all that." And I'm not gonna lie, that's what those redacted lines feel like to me sometimes, where I'm just like, yeah, look, maybe the whole truth is in the one sentence, but maybe it's in the 80,000 pages that nobody feels like reading. Because Trump said he was gonna release JFK files, and he slowly released them over time, I guess. And then there were people that were like, "Well, why won't you release the Epstein files? The Epstein files are what we want. That's what we're actually focused on. Why won't you release the Epstein files? Is it because you actually knew Epstein? Is it because you might be implicated? Is it because you're on the flight logs? Why won't you release the Epstein files?" All right, and then he does release the Epstein files, but what he does is he releases a bunch of files that were already released like last year, and then redacts some of them to make them look like they're newly half redacted files. And then people called it online immediately. They were like, "No, this isn't it at all." And then even the people who were like showing it off and like, "Look at this transparency," then they got mad because they were like, "You made us look like idiots. We thought you were releasing stuff you hadn't released before." And so then people called again, "Why aren't you releasing the Epstein files?" So if you're Trump, you know, you're probably sitting here, the only thing you can do is release the Epstein files and hope it's 100,000 pages. Who would have known the only distance between people and getting to the truth was reading? You know what I mean? We want to know. We as a people have the right to know. It's 80,000 pages. I'm gonna wait till the movie come out. But what are you gonna do? You know, Elon's the president. We know he's the president because, first of all, he tells everybody to report to him, sending the whole government employees emails telling me everything you did. It's like, isn't some of that classified? Like, it's wild. You stand in the Oval Office talking about what we're doing. It's like, who is we? Got your son in there. That's how you could tell Trump not the president. Got Elon's son rubbing his boogers on him. I've had a lot of jobs and a lot of bosses. And no boss's child has ever rubbed boogers on me. I will quit before I let your child rub boogers on me. Elon is the face of Tesla. And he's also the face of Doge, this department that's been cutting all these government jobs and gutting a lot of government programs and everything. And I've talked to a lot of people, a lot of people across the political spectrum about Doge, about their actions, and from the time it started to present, right? So some people are like, oh yeah, it's a little bit much now that we're very much on its side. There are some people that still don't see a problem. There's some people that hate it from the very beginning. But one thing that I have not come across, and I only speak for myself, I'm not talking about I can't speak for the entirety of the internet. One thing I've come across is that there is no one who I have come across that says that there's no waste in the government and that they don't want to get to the bottom of what can be saved or what can be put to better use somewhere else. I think that's what generally everybody would want. If you pay your taxes and then you see where money's being wasted, it's like, oh, we have so many people who need that money in other departments, just move it over to them or give it back to the people or whatever the thing is. I don't think people inherently are upset about the idea that there's waste in the government. I know people that work in the government, they're like, oh, no. A little waste. And so all of it comes down to what you cut and how you do it. That's it, top to bottom. That's the only thing anybody could really have a problem with, what you cut and how you do it, right? And I'll be vulnerable for a second. I'll admit to you right now, I've worked jobs.
I got a party on my white mage.
I've worked jobs where I was like, I'm not gonna tell anybody, but like, they really don't need me. Like, as long as they paying, I'll keep showing up, but like... And you end up seeing what happens. Because the thing with whether it's voters or whether it's like rhetoric around how to handle this stuff, there are people who even now genuinely believe, oh, let's get a business person. Let's get someone who's good at business in government so they can run the government as efficiently as they run their business, right? And the problem there is that, like, let's say Amazon, a good example is like, let's say Amazon makes a mistake. And they make a mistake that all of us, everyone here, can acknowledge and see as a mistake. And so as a mistake, their stock drops because they lose some of the faith from their shareholders. Now, we see that drop in the stock, and maybe the mistake they make is they announce that all the cars from now on gonna have 3 wheels. Like, oh, we're gonna save so much money on tires. And we're like, no, you're gonna flip over, okay? And so then you see the stock start to dip because of that lack of confidence. And then for you as a potential investor, even a retail investor, that dip in the stock is an opportunity. You can buy in now. You can buy into that dip, and then when it goes back up, because they realize that 4 is probably best, that you can ride that wave on up. Fair enough. When you crash out a business, when you make mistakes in business, when you run a poor business, you can always start another business. The people who we even look up to as these beacons of industry were all people at some point who had a failed business, right? But the government is not a business, because if you crash out the government, if you make the same mistakes with the government, you don't have a country. And you can't just be like, no, we're just gonna start new America. You know, I used to have like a lemonade stand America, and that one didn't really work out, so I started like a tire shop America, and that still really wasn't it. So then I started this hedge fund America. And now we're cooking. Yeah. It does not work that way. And you saw what happened. You saw Elon run the government because he's the president. You saw Elon run the government the way he ran his business. When Elon took over Twitter, right? He comes into Twitter and he immediately starts firing everybody because he's like, you're waste, you're redundant, I don't know what you do, I don't know what that is, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. And then couple days after he took over, remember that brief period where he was like, how do you turn it on? And then someone who still worked there, who he didn't fire, was like, oh, you fired the dude who turned it on. Yeah, you asked me for a list of people to fire, I'm not gonna put my name on the list. So and so you end up seeing Elon firing people and then trying to like hire them back real quick and trying to like smooth over the things that he broke that didn't need breaking, you know? And then Doge ends up working the same way. It ends up swooping in and firing a bunch of people and then trying to hire some of them back real quick, and it's chaos. And Elon is the face of it. He's the face of it because we didn't know who else was working in Doge. We didn't know who was essentially like hacking into Social Security, who was going around judges' orders, who was breaking things and going to places they weren't supposed to be because we hadn't figured out how this whole thing was going to work. We didn't know. And then we found out that it was children. We found out they leaked the photos of those people that were high up in Doge, that were getting into Social Security and the IRS and everything. And we were like, what? Fresh out of school, I saw one kid's picture who was like high up in Doge doing all the breaking in and stuff. And I was like, Peter Parker? I cannot believe that Spider-Man gonna cut off my grandma's Social Security. So I don't think he was anyone saying like there's no waste, but it's what you cut and how you cut it. You know, I think people would have appreciated like an actual audit. They said that they did one, but usually when you do an audit and you really account for the waste and you really account for what jobs you do and don't need, you don't have to hire anybody back, you know? The amount of people that they fired and then tried to immediately rehire shows that they're not actually being as careful as they should be with the process. Because I'll tell you right now, everyone that has ever fired me stood firm in their decision. I've never been fired and then somebody ran out after me, hold on. That's my bad, I was wild. Yeah, I was trying to look good in front of the other employees. You come on back in here. That has never happened. Anyone who has ever fired me has never called me again. But then Elon is the face of it. People don't know what to do. They don't know what to do to express their anger and their disappointment, their frustration about this unelected person gutting these government programs. And you see where people, it's not just like a one-sided thing. It's not just like a liberal thing, you know? There are people who are like, I voted for Trump, I believe in what Doge is doing,
I'm
but
still
then
getting
I'm
a
told
lobby
that I'm
server.
being cut because of bad.
I'm still getting a
performance,
lobby
even though I'm
server
holding
error.
right here, a performance review for like a month before the election where they said that I was doing great, you know. And so then people across the political spectrum are going to the town halls and they're complaining to the representatives, and the representatives, they're not really hearing them out. They're not really backing them up. So there's even more frustration, and it's bubbling up, and it's bubbling up. And he's the face of two things. He's the face of Doge, and he's the face of Tesla. And so then people go to the Tesla dealership. And he's not there. But people go to the Tesla dealership and they start protesting at the Tesla dealership, and then the stock starts tanking because there are people that are like, being attached to this right now is not a good look, you know? And then people start vandalizing Tesla, start putting swastikas on the Teslas and stuff like that. And then there are people who, you know, bought a Tesla in 2022. They're like, guys, I didn't know. I had no idea. And almost immediately, it felt like almost immediately, Trump came to his defense, right? Trump invited Elon to the White House. I mean, he already got an office there because it's his White House. He's the boss. He's the president. But Trump told Elon, hey, bring a bunch of Teslas, park them out front of the White House. We'll do a dealership commercial. This man got in the Tesla. Trump got in the Tesla like everything's computer. Which is not wrong. It's not wrong. I remember my first Tesla experience. You know, I didn't ride in a Tesla for a long time. I heard about it as a car, but I didn't get to be in one, and I don't drive, so I didn't try to drive one or anything. And my first Tesla that I ever got in was an Uber. And so when I walked up, I didn't know about the door. I didn't know the door would be all smooth like that. So this is me. Look, I'm admitting for a second. I'm being vulnerable here. I'm admitting for a second that this is me. This is my bad. I was doing too much in my head. I was doing too much, all right? Know that I know that before I even admit this to you. I was doing too much, right? But when I walked up to the Tesla, I thought my driver sucked the door in because I was black.
Finally.
And I was standing there like never in all my days.
I can't get in.
Have I seen this type of racism?
I can't get in.
I was fierce. It was all smooth
I don't know.
and everything.
I can't log in.
And so finally, driver noticed I'm not getting in the car, so he rolled down the window. I lean over all indignant like... And then he started explaining how to open it. I was like, what do you mean you gotta push to pull? That doesn't even make sense. And then I get it with my thumb, and I was like, oh. Oh, okay. Got in the Uber, we took off. And this is the thing with the gig economy jobs, right? Is that, how do I put this? There's a social contract we have not written yet on like how much this is like your property versus my time versus our experience, right? And so when I get in an Uber, I'm very respectful of the fact that this is this person's car. This isn't my car, right? I'm not renting it so it can be my car for a little while. And we're sharing this time together, but it is my time that I'm paying for, so that's what makes me the customer, you know? So I try to not make any waves. I get in an Uber and I'm just like, whatever they need to do. Sometimes there are people who start driving Uber very, very early, so they're tired, and so they gotta blast themselves with cold air. They have to have their window down, and I'm like, I'd rather that than us die warm, you know? So I don't say anything. I'm like, I'll just be uncomfortable on the way to the airport, because that's what's keeping this man awake, and this is the person that showed up to drive me, right? So I almost never say anything. It's a very big deal for me to even try to say anything, and I go ahead and I do it, though. I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm not like, I usually don't do this or anything, but, you know, I leaned over to him and I was like, hey, I'm so sorry, but could you please, like, touch the wheel? Like... No, I know it's autopilot. I know it's autopilot. You put it in and everything. I just don't know what I'm paying for if we going. Like, if we... Like, I'm not telling you how to drive. I'm telling you to drive. Like, it would be nice if you did drive. Like, just put a finger up. Make me believe. Just put a finger. And so you see all of these attacks on Tesla increasing, and the stock price dips and dips and dips, and it goes up a little bit. Every once in a while it goes up, because there's some people who don't care about any of this at all, and they see it as an opportunity to buy low, and so it'll go up a little bit, maybe like 3-4% here, and then it drops a little bit more, and it's down from its high by a lot. And you've even seen people like in the Trump administration come out and say, hey, if you vandalize a Tesla, we're treating it as domestic terrorism. We're coming for you if you touch a Tesla, right? And it's just baffling, because everything that Trump is doing for Elon and everything that his administration is doing for Tesla is exactly what they were supposed to do for the voters. You know what I mean? Like Trump saw that his boy was having a little dip, was like a little bit more broke than he was the day before. He was like, let me help you out. You know, that felt like a campaign promise that I thought he made to everybody, but apparently he was just talking to 3 people. And even going after people who vandalize a Tesla.
I can't get through lobby anymore.
When do we ever talk about domestic terrorism? You know how much domestic terrorism we have? It's a lot. And then you see Elon go on the news, and genuinely he seems like really upset, like genuinely hurt. And I think it's because, you know, look, he's still the richest man in the world, but he used to be the richest man in the world by a larger margin. Like, he has lost billions and billions and billions of dollars, right? And you know, he's so affected by it. And I think that maybe he's so affected by it because when these things are such a part of your life, they do become your identity. Maybe being the richest man in the world, maybe being seen as this, like, you know, this business guru, this scientific mind, all that stuff crumbles away when the people are not with you, when the people can't stand you, when you've angered them, when they don't want to have anything to do with you, you know. And he sees the destruction, he sees the people turning on him, and he seems genuinely upset. And I don't think his feelings are hurt because some people are mad at him. He's never going to meet these people. I think that when you attach so much of your self-worth to this money and this status, this influence and this power, that even the prospect of losing it can rattle you deep down, right? To your core as a person. And it looks like he's about to cry on the news when he's talking about, I don't know what I did to deserve this. It's like... And look, I'm glad he said that to a camera.